Alright guys, today we're going to talk about Adobe Bridge. So of course every time you see this here, you're going to close it out, ignore it, pretend that it's not there. That's for other people to worry about. Alright, we're going to click on the little windows on the bottom left, and it will be Adobe Bridge here in the entire family of Adobe applications. Now Adobe Bridge is a companion app to Photoshop. It is a file management software to help you sort through your pictures, select pictures that you want to edit in other Adobe software. So it's really useful for staying organized. You open it up and it looks like this. You have some previous work here. These are pictures. Maybe they're your pictures. They were on a card that I ingested earlier into this computer. The first thing to do is click this icon right here. It says Get Photos from Camera. It has a little camera with an arrow that's pointed down. So I'm going to click on that. Now it comes up with a little window here, and we're going to have to select several things from here. So get photos from, obviously I don't have a camera hooked up to the computer, but I do have an SD card in here. So I click the down button here, and this should be F drive, camera, or card reader. I'm going to click this. If you don't see this, take your card out and gently push it in and give it just a little bit of an extra push. Get a little message saying that there's some pictures on there. If your card has been around for a while, there might be a lot of images on it. So just go ahead and download them all. We'll sort through them later. Now, next thing, you're going to have to figure out where you're going to put your files. So click the Browse button. You're going to click on the Pictures folder. It's going to say Folders, Pictures. Select that. I was ingesting here. Alright, so we chose Pictures, and we're going to create a subfolder. The subfolder is going to be your shot date, and it's going to be this shot date right here. Year. Should be 4 Y's, 2 M's, and 2 D's. That is going to give you the year, the month, and the day. And it's going to have all 4 digits of the year. Now what that does is it keeps your pictures in order, so that when 2020 comes around or 2021, then the pictures stay in the same order. So shot date right here. Alright, you're going to rename your files. You're going to scroll down here to shot date. It should be the first one. It's going to be, again, year, month, and day with the entire year on there, plus custom name. And then it lets you decide on a name to add after those numbers. So you're going to put your last name. If you have a very common last name, put your first initial in last name. So let's say I have a really common last name. I'll be P. Alcala. I'm going to do underscore, and since I'm doing this after work right now, I'm going to put B5 because I'm in block B5, which is not a real block, but you get what I'm saying. If you're in my A4 class, you would type in A4. If you're in my B2 class, you would type in B2. Now let's see what that does. And then it's going to give a number to each image you copy. So let's reset that to 0. We're going to start with 001. It's going to open Adobe Bridge when we finish doing this. Let's change that back to 5. Let's click Get Media. All right, so it copied all the pictures onto, so it shows you the path right here, Pablo.alcala, that's the user, it's in my pictures folder, and it's a date called 2019-10-23. Now you have all these tiny little pictures, and you're like, how does it make it easy to sort through if it's tiny little photos? Well, down here there's a slider on the bottom right, and you can make these pictures, these thumbnail pictures, bigger, and it can look like a contact sheet. I'm going to also click the button here to make it fill up my whole window, and I'm going to readjust the workspace here so that I have a big picture of the one I have selected. So we're going to scroll through these pictures real quick. There's the KET instructor. She's talking to a group of kids. Okay, so this is the image over here that is highlighted with the yellow box. So it's the one being shown over here on the right. Now I can go through and look at the detail of here by clicking, holding down the cursor. All right, there's a nice fine group of students on a field trip, and I'm going to mark it. So I'm going to hold down Control, and if you hold down Control 1 through 5, add stars to it. So this is a 5-star image, and then Control 7, 8, 9, and 0. 0 takes the stars away. So 9 takes the color away. So Control 6 adds a red bar down there to make it easy to find pictures I want to go through later. I say that one. I'm going to make this one a 5-star image, and I'm going to mark it red. So now let's double click on it. And when you double click on it, it opens it up in Photoshop. Now I have mine set up to open in something called Adobe CameraRaw. So to do that, now this interface is a lot like another Adobe program called Lightroom. It's almost identical. With this panel here, Lightroom has its own file management system that makes a lot of copies of your picture. I like being in control of that, so I just use Adobe Bridge and then open it up in CameraRaw. So the first thing to do in CameraRaw is click on the lens correction. And click on these two buttons here. It should, a lot of times the camera will show up, but if it doesn't, you can go through and select the camera and lens that you were using. So that is very similar to the lens I was using. It doesn't show the exact model. And then from there you have basic correction and you have curves here. So when you click on the basic correction, I can adjust the color temperature. You can do auto and see what that looks like. You could leave it as shot. Maybe you were very deliberate in your white balance settings. I'm going to leave it as shot with a minor correction there. Tint, adjust it a little further. Then down here, you have a lot of really good tools. So first thing is something called exposure. If your exposure was a little bit off, you can do some correction to get it back here. All right. You can bring down your highlights. See what happens when you move the white around. I'm going to leave that alone. You can go in and type it if that's easier. So I want a little more detail in my blacks, so I'm going to bump that up to like 20. Clarity. Clarity is something along the lines of adjusting the levels and contrast at the same time. It's for these down here, you never want to move them more than 10 in either direction. Yeah, I'm gonna zero that out. Adding vibrance makes it pop a little bit. Those are just color adjustments. Again, with saturation, if you move saturation all the way to the minus, you end up with a black and white picture. If you move it all the way to 100 in the plus section, you end up with every color is super saturated so that it looks completely unnatural. So I think a +3 looks great. Let's go to our curves here. So with the parametric, what you can do is use the sliders here. So it's kind of like levels because you're using sliders, but you're adjusting it on curves. So you get the range of curves with the ease of levels, which is nice. If you go back over here to point, then you can do it the old-fashioned way, like in Photoshop with levels. I'm going to go back to parametric. So what I'm doing here is adding a nice little S-curve. So this back here is Photoshop tools. We can't do that until we're done with our CameraRaw window tools up here. So I'm going to crop it in CameraRaw. I don't like this line coming up here at the edge, giving me just like this weird white line there. And I don't know about this shoulder here. So let's let me draw a crop and see how I can compose this to make it nice. I want to keep all the KET there with some room. I might crop it in the middle of this student's head right here. Raise that up a bit. I'm going to crop out the bottom of the icons here to make the KET windows monitors clear and blue all the way down to the edge and make it a little less messy. All right, I think that's good. Now I'm going to open the image. Now it's open in Photoshop. You'll get a login for test prep later. Okay, now we're in Photoshop, and as you can tell, the image up here has a different light balance than the image here. We're going to worry about that in a different tutorial. Right now I'm just showing you how to work in Bridge. So we've done everything we can in Adobe CameraRaw, and we selected the photo using Adobe Bridge. We have to image size it. 1500. Okay, look at that. In the hand tool, you can double click and it'll come back up. So now I sized it down. It's a good easy size. It's 4.4 megabytes. And I'm going to save as, Shift Control S. Now I don't want to save it in the same folder. I want to make a new folder called Submissions. Alright, so it's named the year, month, date, has my last name, my block, and that's the number of picture it is in the sequence, about 12. Alright, now if I go to my file browser, I go to Pictures, open up Submissions, there's an edited picture right here, and I can submit that on Canvas. Close that, and then you can log out. Thank you for watching.